So this is one of the pieces of equipment that I built a few years back that I've never gotten rid of, and I've done very minimal modifications to just because it works so well the way it is. I took longer than usual to make such a simple thing because I really wanted to make sure that all of the measurements were exactly right. You know, little things you typically wouldn't think about, like with where the cable comes down, how far away is it versus your seating position? So is the cable actually not just coming from above you, but is it slightly in front of you? Is it directly above your vertical torso, like directly above your shoulders, or is it back a little bit? And that makes a difference because if not only where you're sitting from a starting point, you know, what kind of exercise you're doing, but also how most people use a machine, like getting a little body English sometimes, you know, leaning back. So if the cable ends up being behind your shoulders a little bit, it kind of means that you have to lean back, you know, lift the chest just to get it to come straight down, which might be what you want. Or otherwise, it could be the opposite. If it's directly above you, vertical, it means that you can stay upright and reasonably pull it behind your neck for a behind the neck pull down. Or you can lean back just a little bit and get it in front of you where you want it. And if you lean back more, it ends up lower, you know, like a low, high pull sort of thing. So things like that, you know, exactly how far apart are the pulleys, where exactly is the cable in line with your body, how high do I want the bench, the lock-in design here, all that stuff. So the result was, because I really used very nice pulleys. They are cast. Not cast. They are milled aluminum pulleys with Japanese NSK bearings. The result is that, you know, it's a single cable over two pulleys with ultra smooth bearings. So there's really no drag to speak of. This is actually the smoothest, nicest lat pull machine I've ever used of any gym, of any brand ever. And I'm frequently can't believe that I actually made it. Making a squat rack is one thing. That's pretty simple. It just holds bars basically, and it has to be stable. But when you start having moving parts and cables and pulleys and adjustable pieces, it's very easy for things to not be quite right. That's why there's such a big problem these days with modern equipment looking very fancy, but it actually feels like shit to use. So I typically wouldn't tell anybody that this is such a nice thing to use. Like, it feels so good, because I think maybe there's some sort of subconscious bias that I'm not aware of. But even my son, Liam, who's 13 now, he's been training in this gym with me, in the home gym, for over a year. And I finally got him, for his 13th birthday, I got him a gym membership at a commercial gym that has a bunch of like old school, like really good quality Icarian and Cybex and Ivanco and like made in USA benches and plates and machines from the 90s era, which I think are the best ever made. But we used this Cybex lat pull down, which I know is a good piece from years of experience. And I didn't say a word, but I used that Cybex lat pull down, and I thought, oh, this feels kind of like shit compared to mine at home. But I didn't say anything. And then I noticed Liam, he had kind of a strange look on his face. And hold on, I'm going to try to do the Sam Sulek thing. That might be a good idea. The opposing side, so it's not blocking my eye. But I noticed Liam had this strange look on his face, and he looked kind of like disappointed, and he was like between sets, and he looks like he's conflicted after a few sets. And I finally was like, man, what's going on? You all right? He's like, I don't want to sound weird. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. It might sound crazy. He was very nervous to say this because he didn't want to say the wrong thing. You know, this is his first experience in a commercial gym, and he didn't want to look bad by saying the wrong thing. But I was like, this is cool, man. What's going on? And he says, it just doesn't feel right. What do you mean it doesn't feel right? And he said, I don't know, like it might just be me, but it doesn't feel as good as the one we have at home. And I was like, yeah, exactly, yeah, the fist bump immediately, like, yes, exactly. I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to tell you that. But the fact that you came to that same conclusion, exactly. So anyway, all that to say that I love this piece. It turned out very well. I can't believe I got it so correct the first time. But over the past few years that I've had it, I have had to change a few things. So one of the things was that this was not adjustable before. It was just, I had these welded directly to the upright and they just stuck out. But again, because Liam is in here and because of a few other little reasons, I found that it's better to have one that's not only adjustable up and down, but I can flip it around. So one of the modifications that I made was that there's this thing, this whatever you call it, it secures you in place, but it can only go up and down, but I measured it so that it can also flip around and face inward. And the idea with that is that you slide back on the bench and sit at the end over here, and this will brace your feet against the upright, basically. So it's very secure, or you can, again, flip it back this way and have it in kind of a standard position to secure your hips. The other thing was that it used to have the round bar, and the idea I had at the time was that I don't like the padded braces at the gym, because when you start going with a lot of weight, the padding just gets crushed and ends up being not the right position. So you can't really push it down hard enough to lock you in place when it's not crushed, when it's fully expanded foam. So you think it's secure, and then you get a lot of weight, and suddenly the foam starts to get crushed, and your hips start to come up a little bit, and it's just not as secure. So I went with a solid steel pipe, and I tried to keep it a larger diameter so it wouldn't have as much pinpointed pressure, but it kind of didn't matter. It was nice to have the solid steel against the hips, but because it's round, it meant a very small amount of that surface was actually pressing into your upper thighs and would kind of hurt when you was pulling up with a lot of weight. So I switched it to a square steel tubing. It gives a nice flat, almost like a tabletop, that presses down the legs so there's no pinpointed pressure. And it doesn't collapse, it doesn't shift at all. So it really locks you in place, and it feels great. And it also means that when I flip it around, I have a nice secure area for my feet. The original design also was me sitting behind it and using the cable, the low row for my rows. And the way I've changed it is now I put this full length pad on there so I can just stay sitting up here. It worked fine to sit on the ground, but I realized that, man, real world application is that when you're really tired and worn out and you're doing some of this stuff later in the workout, it kind of makes a difference having to like get down on the floor and then get up off the floor for every single set. So it's just a quality of life improvement to have this pad here where you can actually sit at a normal bench height and then just put your legs up on the brace when it's ready to do that. You're ready to do your low rows. But now the problem I run into is that I thought by putting a 125 kilo weight stack that would be enough weight. I had just used the weight stack that I had available on hand, which is it's metal. Each plate is made of metal. It's like cast iron, and then it has this rubber coating. It was some not cheap, but it was like one of these big multi-unit machines that was sold for like high-end consumer use back in the day. And because that's all I had, that's what I used, but I combined two stacks together. So I got this 125 kilo weight stack, which I thought would be enough, but in reality, it has gotten to a point now where, although most of the time, if I go above my own body weight, I'll just go over to the pull-up bar and I'll do pull-ups. And I have a belt there that I can hang plates from, so I'll do like weighted pull-ups, weighted stuff with my body. There are times when I need to quickly superset between things. Like the other day, for example, yesterday, I was doing what I love to do lately, which I was doing these underhand pull downs. And then as soon as I get done with that, I let go and I go over to the squat rack and I do bench press. So it's superset between like a narrow underhand pull down, kind of like a chin up with the cable, and then supersetting with bench. And because of that, I realized from previous workouts that having to put the belt on and then hang the plates between my legs and then get up to the bar and do my pull-ups and then come down and try to set the plate down and undo the belt and then set it aside and all this stuff, I was kind of wasting too much time. It was a little bit too cumbersome between exercises to be an effective superset. So I prefer to just go heavier. But now the problem is that even though I do a lot of reps leading up to it, I'll do my first set with 60 kilos. I'll do 20 reps as a warm-up. And the next set, I'll do 80 kilos for 16 reps. and then I'll go up to 100 kilos for 12 reps, and then I do 120 kilos for 8 reps. Last night, I wasn't paying attention, and I accidentally put it on the 125 instead of the 120, so it's actually the full stack now. And I did all 8 reps, and I felt like it was very, very challenging. It was hard to get that 8th rep. But if I'm doing 8 reps after so many previous reps, and I'm still progressing week to week, it's not going to be too long before the 125 kilo stack just isn't heavy enough. So I've been telling myself for years I wanted to upgrade the stack anyway. I wanted to put a nice solid steel stack, because one of the problems also is that as moisture from the air, like humidity and dirt and grime, builds up on this rubber surface, these plates will sometimes stick together. So you'll put it on the 60, and actually 65 or 70 will come up. And you say, oh, well, I'll do it anyway. And then 1 or 2 or 5 reps in, one of the plates comes off and slams down, and then another one. So I don't like the look of the cheaper rubber. I don't like that it sticks sometimes. I don't like that it takes up more space than it should, considering how heavy it is. And now it's getting to the point where it's not quite heavy enough. So the project for today is, got 1 day off of work during the week right now. So I need to just go around and kind of clean some things up. One of the things is that I need to swap out this weight stack, which I've been collecting weight stacks from other machines for a while now. The problem is that they won't fit in this space, so I'm going to have to modify it. Because of the very weird proprietary sizing of this weight stack, because it was meant for a home gym a unit, it means that the very nice milled steel, like very nice calibrated, awesome weight stacks that I have now don't fit in here. They are thinner, like they're not as broad this way, and they're also longer. So I think what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to just kind of bite the bullet and accept the fact that aesthetically it won't be as pleasing, but I'm going to have to take these longer weight stacks and turn them sideways so that they're sticking out the ends. And doing that means that I will have to take some of this additional 3-inch square tubing, and I'll have to build a base underneath the stack that sticks out on each end. I'll have to build an attachment up there that sticks out to capture the bars. Also, the bars that I have, the steel tubing that I have, I don't know if it's stainless or if it's just plated, but it's meant for weight stacks. It's what came with those weight stacks. That stuff is only like 4.5 feet tall because it was a compact system. So I'm gonna have to take a few of those bars, those tubes, and put them on end, and see if I can get them attached without creating any bumps in the finish, and keep them nice and straight, so I can cover this very long distance of this very tall machine that I have. So I've been meaning to do most of this stuff for several years. Today is just the day that I finally try to get it done. I don't know if it's a guy thing or just it's a me thing, but I typically don't respond verbally or physically. I don't respond to getting hurt. I just I crack a knuckle open at work, or I get a cut, or bang my knee on something, and I just internalize that like, fuck. Like I just gotta let it go, and I keep doing my thing. Just now I'm stepping around all this stuff. As I'm stepping over this weight stack so I can get behind it, there's that safety arm on the squat rack. And I cracked the fuck out of my ankle. It hit so hard at just the right angle, right on the bone, that with no thought at all, my natural reaction was just to shout outward, like, "Ah!" And then after I screamed, like the moment I got done screaming, I realized what I did. Now I can't stop laughing. Like that's the funniest shit ever. Like, dude, I don't think I have actually literally screamed in pain in like 20 years. quickly show you what I've got working here with the top. So basically I took some scrap angle iron that I had, and I cut it to the same width as the two uprights, and then I cut these notches out so that the flange here can go in between the uprights and kind of square it off and make it a little more rigid. And then I've got this piece of steel popped out here with the hole, and the way it's going to work is basically I'm just going to slide this over the top of the guide rail and then push this in so that this little flange sits between the uprights, and then I'm going to tack weld it on each end, and then maybe weld it along the bottom. I don't know, we'll see. But it doesn't need too much welding, it's just kind of holding the top steady. So I might just tack weld it and be done with it.